On June 21, 2021, President Biden stated, quote, "If you are vaccinated, you're not going to be hospitalized. You are not going to be in the intensive care unit. You are not going to die," end quote. Again, simply yes or no. By that date, were there vaccinated Americans that were hospitalized?
What I can tell you is at the time, CDC was releasing increasing data showing the immense protection of vaccines against severe disease, hospitalization, and death.
But by that date, were there vaccinated Americans that were hospitalized?
Maybe I will say this. We still, to this day, do not have data on people who are coming into the hospitals who are vaccinated. That is a data point that we have lacked.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because that is another thing that we need to look into very closely and to do better going forward.
On our data system.
But I will say this, believe me, as a physician, I was watching what was going on. We were first looking out to try and see how do we treat this thing? What is going on? What blood work can we do? IL-6, your inflammatory markers, CT of the lungs. There were no tests. And we were trying to find answers, but we did pay very close attention to the trials of Operation Warp Speed. And it was fascinating to, be a part of that in some way. We would meet with Dr. Fauci, Dr. Collins, et cetera. But we knew from the trials that people that got vaccinated still got COVID. In general, they didn't get as sick, and they were less likely to be hospitalized, and therefore less likely to die. But it was still happening. So I'll ask you the question, to the best of your knowledge, had any passed away when he made that statement in June of 2021?
If I might, Dr. Wenstrup, let me just also thank you for your work in promoting vaccination. Many videos of you doing vaccine clinics yourself. So I want to thank you for your efforts there. It was much, what I will say is my understanding of the initial clinical trials that were released in November, December, before I became CDC director, was 96% protection against symptomatic disease. In medicine, we never say never. But
exactly. Exactly. So thank you. And that's the problem I have with this statement from the leader of the free world, is to say something so definitive. You're not going to be hospitalized. Even in the trials, people were hospitalized. You're not going to the ICU as a definitive statement. That was misinformation. That was divisive. That was dangerous. And it put you in a very hard spot. It put you in a very hard spot, as you are to be the leading voice for America. And I applaud so many of the things that you have done and did do. But this is a problem, and that's the point I'm trying to make, that we cannot let this happen. We have to let science be the science. And in my opinion, we should have been hearing from the doctors who treated COVID patients, not politicians, not someone in the lab.